In episode 4, Judy and Jen are driving back from burying Steve's body, and I said it was a local forest, and I meant local in terms of like it's in the same state. It's quite a drive. And as they're traveling back, Jen starts panicking because she thinks she left the phone in the forest, but it's just in her pocket. But because she's holding the phone while driving, they get pulled over by the police. And the police officer has a very weird demeanor because he starts off the conversation with, "Was it worth it? You committed a crime." Which puts the fear of God into the women, but he says, when you picked up that phone while driving, you committed a crime. So they're very grateful just to get out of this with a ticket. But Jen definitely is worried that now there's a record of their whereabouts. They stop off at a diner where Jen is kind of apologizing, but more so explaining why they couldn't just sit there and have a ceremony for Steve, and they had to get into that forest, bury him, and get out as quickly as possible, even though Judy really wanted to do something for him. They then stop off at a hotel to get some sleep, and as they're heading to the room, they run into Karen's husband. Now, Karen's husband is always out of town and is shocked to see Jen and claims that he's there for business, but then his gay lover shows up, and it becomes very obvious to everybody involved what is actually going on. He tries to explain himself while Jen is saying, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody," and she and Judy head up to the room. When she gets up to the room, she calls Charlie to check in. She told the kids that they were going out of town to visit with Judy's sick aunt, and she's left Christopher in charge, and it's Christopher, Shandy, and Henry, and it is driving Charlie absolutely insane. He also feels like this is a good opportunity to ask once again for a car, but that's not exactly high on Jen's priority list at the moment. Once Jen gets off the phone, she notices that Judy is kind of visibly shaken. She tries to explain to Judy while the other night was difficult, she feels like they're finally over the hurdle of that. But Judy isn't saying a word. She's literally just zoned out, staring off into space. Jen asks, "Are you mad at me?" Because it'd be completely normal if you were, but Judy isn't mad at her. And it's freaking Jen out because usually Jen is the negative one while Judy is the positive one, and she doesn't really know how to act in this situation. Judy just doesn't feel like talking at the moment and wants to go to sleep. And at night, Jen wakes her up and suggests that they go down to the hotel bar and have a toast for Steve, and Judy really likes that idea. So they get all dressed up and head down to the bar and find out if you're there for the wedding that's in town that weekend, then it's an open bar. So of course they say, "Yeah, no, we're here for the wedding. The bride's my cousin." They order drinks and try to do a makeshift eulogy, but it's kind of awkward because this isn't exactly how Judy planned this thing out. Judy ends up crying, saying, "He's the first person that ever made me feel loved." She also tells her that the morning after they hit Ted, she woke up and started looking for Steve and finally found him at the beach, and he was bawling his eyes out. It's not like he didn't care about what he did. He was gutted by it. He just decided to hold in those emotions for a lot of people. And that's why she wanted to take him to the beach, because he was comfortable there. She didn't want to just dump him off into a forest. Judy's really breaking down as she regrets never getting to say goodbye to Steve. And at this point, the guilt is also getting to Jen, who is also crying, and she says, "You deserve to say goodbye to Steve. And in all honesty, this is why Steve loved you, because you're the kindest person in the whole world, and I love you so much." And as the two women are crying their eyes out, some dude from the wedding shows up and asks if they want to dance, to which Jen goes, "Dude, read the room. Does it look like we want to dance right now?" And after he slowly leaves, they laugh it off, but then they decide, no, actually, no, we do want to dance. They end up salvaging the night and getting really drunk and having a lot of fun, and at one point even give a toast to Karen, who has no idea that her husband is cheating on her with another man. But when they try to order more drinks, the bartender says, "Yeah, you guys owe me $83. I know you're not with the wedding party." Because the guy that asked them to dance who they freaked out on, yeah, he told on them. And snitches get stitches, where Jen Harding comes from. The next morning, Jen is awoken to a phone call from Christopher, who lets him know that Dad Bird has been killed. And when she gets home, Henry is just distraught, and they're trying to figure out what happened. And the only logical conclusion is that Christopher's dog Adele killed the bird. Shandy even speaks up and says it was probably just animal instinct. But none of this is helping Henry at the moment. And just like Judy, Henry just wanted to say goodbye, so they have a little makeshift funeral in the backyard for Mom Bird, Dad Bird, whatever you want to call it, the bird. But that night, Jen gets a knock at the door, and it's Shandy and her mom. And Shandy comes clean that it was actually her and not Adele who killed the bird. And in more proof that she's a little psychopath, it was definitely intentional. But as she's leaving, Shandy says, "I really don't want to tell Henry because he's my best friend." And Jen tells her, "You know, sometimes people need a friend more than they need the truth. You don't have to tell Henry." Judy that night packages the rock that was taken from the Forbidden Forest and sends it back with a note that's apologizing for taking it. Henry goes outside and says goodnight to the bird, but as he's doing so finds that wooden bird that was used to kill Steve. And Charlie, who's in desperate need of transportation and was told by Jen that he's going to get his father's bike once she musters the energy to get over to the storage unit and get it, has made his way over to that storage unit. But when he opens it up, there's not a bike there, there's Steve's car. Thanks so much for checking out this recap. If you don't see the next video there, don't worry, it'll be up in a day or two, or as quickly as I can get to it. Please consider subscribing to this channel, it would really help me out. And then like the video if you liked it, and hit thumbs down if you don't.